Happy Monday. Hello, welcome back, everyone. Happy Monday. Hope you all are enjoying your Monday. It feels really good out here today. Well, on my side, it looks good. The weather looks good. I'm really excited to really get into the reunion. Everyone has been anticipating on this, so we're definitely here for this just to review it and what our thoughts are. You guys already know. And I just want to also hear from you all. Just come in alive, and really share us about what you share with us, what you thought about the reunion. Were you excited about? What were you expecting? Did you have any expectations? Or were you excited that it's actually over? Like, what were your thoughts? And of course, we also have Sin here as well. She's also joining the conversation today. Sin, would you like to introduce yourself? Say hi to everyone.
Hey guys, hey, this is Sin from Sisters Talk TV. So, we're going to be reviewing the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion, season 13 reunion episode or part one. I don't know how many parts that's going to be on this reunion, but I will just have to say, hopefully, the second part or the third part is better than the first. So, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and get started in the next few minutes. But please be sure to like this video and also subscribe to our channel, guys. It really helps us out, especially on YouTube, and we really want to reach our goals. So just please be sure to like and subscribe. And also, if you really like our content, why not support our channel, support our growth here on YouTube? So yes, so be sure you are liking and subscribing to liking our video and subscribing to our channel. So we're gonna go ahead and get started and just let's go ahead and we can get started in the next 1 minute. So um yeah, so Lucy, did you see that there's going to be a Real Housewives All Star? What did you think about it so far? Did you like the lineup?
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up because I've been I've seen some things. I see that Kenya and Cynthia are from the Real House of Atlanta are going to be on there. And of course, I see that Teresa, Judice, and Melissa Gorga are also going to be there, in which I do watch Real Housewives of New Jersey. So I'm really excited about that lineup. Not particularly sure about the Real Housewives of Atlanta with Cynthia on there because I just feel like again we're I feel like we're gonna get the same old Cynthia. So I'm just trying to uh, figure out why she was the cast for the Real House for the All Stars because I'm not expecting much from Cynthia. Just like last season, just like this season, there wasn't nothing much that was coming from Cynthia except with her wedding stuff. So that was just my thoughts on that. As far as like everyone else, I don't really know much about the other lineups. As far as this is what I'm particularly sure about the ladies who will be joining. Now, remember we were actually talking about this not to like sometime last year. We was like, oh my god, it would be so cool if Bravo had a lineup of some of the housewives on up in something like this, like they all get together and then they all like do something like this. I think it would definitely change the dynamic, especially with how the this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta went. At least we'll get some sort of like more excitement or something in relation to that. What do you think?
Um Yeah, so I remember we were talking about this, and I have a strong feeling that Bravo really watches a lot of like creators, like YouTube creators content because we were just talking about this. Maybe they already had that in mind, but the lineup so far. I mean, I like Kenya on the show. I like Teresa. I think that would be really interesting to kind of see how Teresa and Kenya, like their dynamic is going to be. Um, I wish Nene was a part of this all star because she's an OG. I out of the Atlanta cast, I think I would have liked um either Portia. I would have liked either Portia to be on there with Ken just to kind of see how they will interact because they are already they're on the same show. Maybe this will be like a, I don't know, maybe they can reconcile whatever issue that they have since they're like apart from the group and they're not really in their comfortable like alliance or so. Like Kenya doesn't have Cynthia, and Portia doesn't have Shamia and Drew, or so I want to see like how it would have been interesting to see like kind of how their dynamic would be if they were both on a show with other people that they may not be too familiar with. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started with the review. Sorry, echo. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the review, and I will let Lucy take it on from here and just get us set up for this Real Housewives of Atlanta season 13 reunion part 1 review.
Okay. So, okay, so let me just give some thoughts, like as far as like the setting. I just want to talk about the setting. Of course, we've already talked about the ladies' looks. I think we've did. If you haven't watched the video, we've already talked about some of our likes. Sin has already talked about that, made a review video about that. So really check that out. So we're not really going to discuss about the way the ladies look. We already know our top favorites were Kenya, Portia, and Cynthia. Those were our top 3 that we really like. So if you haven't checked that review, please do check it out. So of course we start out. The setting looked amazing to me. I really liked the setting. I think it was very well put together. And definitely seeing the ladies with all black, it was giving me um, high class, very elegant. Look, so I really peeped that out. So I just wanted to make a note of that. So of course the 7, like up to 6-7 minutes, we get to Andy is of course speaking with the ladies, um, kind of asking them how they are, how they're doing so far, especially with the pandemic, how they've went through the pandemic, and some of the things of the challenges they were facing. I know that he brought about the asking the ladies about their weight, some of their weight gain, and of course, the ladies said some of them said they did gain weight. So I know Portia and Kenya definitely said they gained weight, quarantine weight. I mean, who hasn't gained quarantine weight? I think we could all testify to this, right? So of course, a lot of them did gain weight, and of course, Andy said he gained weight as well. So he definitely mentioned that as well. So that's how that reunion first part started. He definitely asked them how they were doing, just like a pleasant, getting to know everyone, how their situation is currently going. So that's kind of how that started, and then we get into um, him basically talking about Portia being a baby vegan, because Portia refers to herself as a baby vegan. So we get into that, and of course we get into more of the Kenya and Portia situation, and then more so of, and then we dive into it. So, Sin.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna have a couple of speaking points and things that we really have to kind of really discuss on here. And these are the 3 just kind of some big points that stood out to me, and I feel like it's just appropriate that we have like an in-depth conversation about. Okay, so of course Andy greets the ladies, typical Andy, slight shade here and there, typical Andy behavior. We also have, he introduces the newbie Drew. Drew is our, new friend, or not even friend, new peach holder. We also get question in about Kenya. I guess like the big topic is Portia's whole role on the Black Lives Matter movement. She talks about that. She gets in depth with that, and we've heard her talk about it before. We talked about it here, but let's go ahead and get on to Kenya questioning Portia's activism, and Portia didn't include Kenya in a PSA that she was doing. I guess she included all the ladies. She didn't include Kenya, and Kenya feels that it wasn't warranted because Portia's screaming Black Lives Matter, but she's always screaming like Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. But she feels that Portia is not really, she's not really for, pretty much she's saying that Portia is a fake activist. So, what are your thoughts about that? And do you think that Portia is a fake activist? Because this is kind of like the dialogue that was going on in the reunion between Kenya saying that Portia is a fake activist.
Oh my goodness. So I just wanted to put out there that anyone who's ever involved in such movements like this should definitely come from the heart. And it's not an easy thing to just go out there and put your life out there. As you guys can see, Portia was arrested. Just imagine being out there with several police officers, with stuff that you never know what could possibly happen. So for me, I just felt that for Portia to put herself out there, I think that she did definitely took a big risk. And whether or not if she was doing it for her own selfish reasons, or she was doing it because, again, this is in her blood. Like, this is something that she stands for. This is her platform. This is something she's very committed to. She's very passionate about. Either way, she did it. She did it. It's not like Kenya, and let me just say, it's not like Kenya was out there, doing this as well. So it's like we didn't. I mean, she could have possibly did some background stuff. I mean, we didn't get to see that, but I'm saying Portia was the one that was out there. So I felt like there should have been some sort of sincere commentary when it comes to how Kenya made it seem like, because we have to definitely give our props out to Portia, especially with what is going on. And I think till today, Portia is still her PSA. She's still doing things to benefit, of course, as African Americans, the movement, and with everything that is going on right now with our community. So that's just how I look at that.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay, so this is my stance, especially when I was watching this reunion segment between Kenya and Portia, and Kenya questioning Portia's political activism. I felt like it was definitely very inappropriate. I don't understand why she would be questioning somebody else's activism, because if the way Portia decides to, if she is out there protesting for a good cause, like what is it why are you questioning what she is doing? Are you doing it? Are you out there? No. And Portia said, Kenya, I mean, Portia went ahead and questioned Kenya's activism. Well, what are you doing? And Kenya was like, don't question my activism. So the same way that you're doing what you're doing to Portia, you're questioning her activism. But when she questions you about your activism and what you're doing, then you're getting upset. And that is kind of like I see that is pretty much what she's doing throughout the reunion. It's like you don't want people to you don't like when people do something to you, but you do it to other people. So I saw this pattern throughout the reunion. We'll get to more of that. But as far as the whole Kenya questioning Portia's activism, I felt like it was inappropriate. It wasn't needed. It shouldn't even be a question of discussion, because this is like something really, really serious. And if Portia was, if she was is she's not being genuine about it, or if she is, that's up to Portia, and whoever, that's up to Portia to decide, or that's up to God to decide. That's not up to you, Kenya, or anybody else on that stage to decide if Portia is being genuine or not.
Okay, but I also wanted to, because I think this was while I was watching the whole season, this question kept coming to my mind, and I know everyone's saying why should Kenya question Portia's her activism, but I think that Kenya does have a right to question Portia's activism. I think that um, Kenya definitely has points at times. She definitely brings up good points, and I know this is not something that what Kenya said. I know a lot of us did not like that. But at the same time, I felt that it was definitely necessary to definitely hear from a different perspective, because we don't want to always be on that agree side, and then again, people are making it seem like Kenya is wrong for what she said. But I think that sometimes we need to look at it from a different perspective. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I said that it was inappropriate to say, but then again, we also have to look at it from a different perspective as well. So I just wanted to put it out there, because sometimes we're always on that side where we always have to agree with that person, that main character. I would say at this point it is Portia, and then we forget to look at other aspects of it. Could it be, or is there more to it? Like, we don't really get to really dive into that. So I felt that Kenya definitely brought out that conversation.
Yeah. I do think it is. Yeah, I agree. I think that it's important that we have to look at, we also have to give Kenya the benefit of the doubt. But it's kind of like we already know she doesn't like Portia. So anything Portia is going to do, she's going to question it. So, like we say, if it's Kenya, if she is, like, for instance, her questioning Portia's activism, it's from a place where I just don't like Portia. So anything that she's doing, I'm just gonna question it. But is it right, like, for her to even do that, like to question Portia's activism, um, for like something that Portia is doing that is for a better cause and it is for the community? I don't think it's right. I really do not think that it is right, because she's not doing it just to, is to see if Portia is doing it to be genuine. She's doing it because she just does not like Portia, and that's just what it is.
But let's look at it from a different perspective. Let's look at it from a season, a past season, right? When Kenya and both Portia were on good terms, right? And somehow when Nene came in the picture, Portia sort of turned on Kenya. I remember they were both getting along when they were both had Pilar and PJ. And when Nene came to the scene, it was a different scenario. Portia somehow turned her back on Kenya. And I think that Kenya was definitely, her and Portia was building a relationship from there. So it's interesting. I just think that Kenya is doing more digging, like seeing Portia for who she is in her perspective. And knowing Kenya is I think that Kenya is very picky when it comes to choosing her friends, and especially the people who she respects. So I think that, and then she has a reason for what she does. So I think that when we look at this, we need to also look at the past episodes, like past seasons, like how Portia just did some wishy-washy stuff. So I feel like now it's just more of a trust thing. Maybe Kenya has read into Portia and she feels like, okay, I know who Portia is. I know what to expect from her. And that's probably why why Kenya decided to make this comment.
Okay, but and I do not want this to turn into the Kenya versus Portia thing, because we also have some other speaking points to get to. But I just want to say this: who is Kenya to decide on who is being genuine or not? Like, who? Okay, yes, we get it that Kenya she is very intelligent. She was Miss America, Miss USA, yeah. One of those. But we get it. You know that Kenya was she's a pageant girl. She's very articulate. She's very smart. Kenya's very talented. And she's very. We can say yes, she's psychologically smart. She knows like what she's like. I guess like she knows what she's doing. But who is she to judge? Like who is she to determine who is being genuine or who is being a fake or phony activist? Like it's not her business. It's none of her concern. Like what Portia is doing, if she's doing it genuinely or she's not. If she doesn't support it, if she doesn't support Portia, what she's doing, okay, that's fine. But don't get upset with Portia that she didn't include you in her PSA. And while you're questioning her activism, why would you want to be a part of something that you do not agree to or you don't believe in? So that's kind of like when she mentioned that in the reunion, I'm just like, really do not like it's really not making sense. Like Kenya is really not making sense. It's like either it's like backwards with her. It's kind of like it's either you are for or you're against. Like don't be upset if you're not included in something and you're not even in support of it. So why are you upset?
Okay, yeah. You know what? We're just going to move along. I mean, we can agree to disagree, but I feel like this is a long conversation that we definitely maybe have on another panel. But yeah, we do have a more speaking points. So the next we just want to also talk about is the Drew versus Kenya situation.
So
So
okay, so okay, the Drew versus Kenya situation. So we know that Drew, she's a new girl she's a new peach holder, and she's a new peach holder, and um, I really don't even know how this all started between Drew versus Kenya, but it kind of started with Latoya. Latoya and Kenya, kind of from the beginning, they were really, talking about Drew, especially how Drew was dressing. They didn't really like Drew's outfit, the way she was, presenting herself. So I guess in a way, Drew decided to stand up for herself, against Kenya and Latoya. And ever since then, she's just been really coming at Kenya. She's also been coming at Latoya. And I'm just gonna have to say, like, with the Drew. Okay, so Drew, I guess her first, the reason why she hasn't really been feeling Kenya is because I guess Kenya called her and her family when they came into Cynthia's home. She called them what did she say? She called them, is it I don't know. What was it that she said? What did she call them? Lucy, do you remember what she called them?
she called them. Was it a group something? A group. She called them something that, of course, did not sit well with Drew. Just trying to remember what she called them.
Yeah, she called them something. I think she called them stragglers or something like that. I don't know. But I guess I don't know. That just did not well with Drew at all. And she's ever since then, she's just been coming for Kenya. She didn't appreciate, she was kind of going along with the rest of the ladies, how Kenya didn't invite. She didn't put out the invitation for the rest of the ladies to bring their kids, and also the whole New Orleans. They were kind of going at it. And this is like my opinion, what I think about the whole Drew kind of and Kenya situation. I feel like Drew wanted to, of course, like if you're a newbie on the franchise, like who would you want to come for? Yes, you're gonna want to come for Kenya. You're gonna want to come for, and the person who's going to be more, because Kandi is not really, Kandi's kind of cool with everyone. Cynthia is kind of cool with everyone. Portia's okay, Kenya, she has to warm up to you and stuff. But like, you're gonna want to come for Kenya, especially since Nene is not here. You're gonna want to come for Kenya. You're gonna want to, have kind of like a beef with her and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much what the whole like issue with Drew and Kenya situation. And then we also have Kenya, Drew saying that, pretty much Kenya's response about how she handled um, her son's, like when he was meeting with his father, she felt that it was uncomfortable. Drew didn't like that because she felt like Kenya was, bringing up like their kids, and she just wasn't feeling comfortable about that. But what are your takes as far as like Drew and Kenya?
Well, okay, so let me just make a comment about when the father and son were first getting to know. First, I believe this is the initial meeting, right? This is the first meeting that they were getting to see each other, right? Is this, if I'm correct, right?
I think he was with his father before.
So yeah, so okay, so I personally felt that it wasn't, that father and son moment was not the place for it. I think it especially should have been kept off camera because again, the little boy was definitely, he seemed like he wasn't into really getting to know. I want to say know his father, but I think he was more so of, he didn't really care much because I think that his father has been out of his life for so long that I think that he only just sees Ralph. So I think that having the camera on them, the spotlight like that, I felt like that wasn't something that should have been done in private instead of on the show. So I mean, again, Kenya made that comment. I can't really say that she shouldn't. I mean, she does have a right to comment, right? Because I felt like Drew was also coming for her as well. So yeah, so I think that Kenya definitely, has a right to make a comment, just like Drew made comments about her.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think this really is definitely like a kind of touchy subject when it comes to kids. Kids are off limit, but then again, like when it comes to, like we can't determine how low someone can go. Like how low does someone go? But you can't determine how someone's going to react. So I guess, Kenya is like, she doesn't play fair. But I do think kids are off limits, and everyone was, pretty much telling, Kenya and stuff like, kids are off limits, and that just wasn't a right like a nice comment to make. So then we also get the whole. So we talked about the Drew versus Kenya, like their dynamic, because that was really talked about on in the reunion. Then we get the whole Kenya on cultural appropriation. Okay, now this is my thought. Okay, so Kenya, Bravo issued a like apology to the Native American community about Kenya culturally appropriating a warrior, Native American like princess, like a warrior. She was wearing kind of like the feather kind of hairpiece and stuff. So Bravo issued a warning, oh, not a warning, but apology. And Kenya also issued an apology as well too. So Kenya didn't really know, because she didn't really know that she was culturally appropriating, because she says that she identified, or she's a part of the Native American community. And, she felt like it was more of like a celebration instead of cultural appropriation. Now, I have two things for Bravo, and I'm so glad Dr. Heavenly, she did put out a tweet about this. She said that, Bravo can make a apology to the Native American community, but when it comes to the African American community, how we have housewives on a certain franchise were, doing inappropriate stuff when it comes to the African American community, Bravo didn't issue an apology. So Dr. Heavenly made a tweet about that, and I have to agree. And I think that why didn't Bravo really why did they tell Kenya like this was cultural appropriation? This wasn't right. Because obviously Kenya seems like she didn't know like what she was doing. You know, she didn't know that like wearing that piece was a form of cultural appropriation. It just does not stick well with the Indian community, and it's just very disrespectful, especially on Halloween, you know. So she issued an apology. That's great. And she decided to go educate herself on the culture and stuff. Now this is where the tricky part gets, because Kenya's felt like she was celebrating her culture, and they asked her, are you like, what makes you kind of like, how do you identify as Native American? And she said she has aunts and stuff that lives in the she has aunts that live that are from West Virginia, that live in the reserve and stuff. And everyone was like saying, yeah, Kenya, she is Native American, so she's celebrating her culture. I do not think Kenya is Native American at all. Like, Andy asked her what tribe, what part, what tribe was she a part of? And she couldn't even say. The only relations that she had with being a part of Native American culture was that her aunts live in the reserve. I'm just like, I don't think Kenya's part. I think that, Kenya is beautiful. She has like gorgeous, beautiful hair. But maybe like somewhere down the line, she does have Native American ancestry, but like as far as close knit, like, current generation, I don't think Kenya, um, I don't think she is or identify as a Native American at all. I really do not. So, but I think that, good thing she did apologize. Now that, all of the ladies who are on this show, they know not to culturally appropriate other cultures. Like, it's very, very disrespectful, especially on Halloween. Um, and then
Well, that's a
did
good
you
point. Yeah, that's a good point too. Like you mentioned earlier, the comment that Dr. Heavenly, a point that Dr. Heavenly made. So if we're gonna say that for this franchise, it's good that they are know about cultural appropriation. But I think that it's good for all the franchise to know to distinguish the difference when they're being when they're what is this how do it's I don't want to say when they're being I don't want to
just
say
disrespectful?
yeah, I'm just going to use the term disrespectful, right? So disrespectful to other cultures or just other races. So I just feel like that's something that Bravo, this is a PSA that Bravo could have put out, and I believe there was a video I also made in regards to this particular situation when it came to Luann, and I just don't really want to get into it, but I think I do have a video on that, and I don't think a PSA was never made about that. But good thing that you did bring this up, Sin, because that just kind of shows you again what Nene was saying. Does Nene have a point here, or it's just a little bit too late? So that could another conversation as well in itself.
Yeah, so when we talk about, all this stuff, Bravo really needs to, it's not just when it comes to, also when it comes to African American cultural appropriating too, especially with the other franchise, we've seen it happen. And I think that they also need to apply the same pressure as well too, and put out a PSA you know, when we see those things happening. Now, Portia, okay, so she made a comment, when Kenya was saying that she educated herself. Now she knows that this is just not right. Now, Portia said that she's proud of Kenya, that she was able to educate herself. She's able to move past it. But why is it that she keeps like holding Portia like against, holding her against, because she didn't know what the Underground Railroad is, and Portia has made her way to try to understand um about the Underground Railroad and about like the civil rights like the civil rights movement and stuff. Why can't Kenya, like, she's not, she keeps reminding her about that. And it's like a form of suppression, while Portia says that she has made it a point where she wants to, she's trying to learn more about her civil rights family and the civil rights movement and stuff. So what do you think about like the whole, like, why is Kenya holding that against Portia? But no one's holding her like after the whole cultural appropriation situation, everyone can forget it. Everyone can, okay, like Kenya, like, we understand, we forgive you. You sent an apology. Portia has issued an apology, but why is that still an issue that Portia didn't know what the Underground Railroad was?
Okay, great question. One thing I can come up with is that if this is a legacy and something that you're very passionate about, this is something that you should have done research on. I would say, or something that you should have known. Like, I think it's common knowledge, right? And if you don't know, you go ask or you go research. So I think that if Portia, if this is something that, I mean, who comes out and who has a legacy like that, a platform like how Portia's grandfather left her, and comes out and doesn't know about the Underground Railroad? Like, let's let it make sense. And I'm not trying to, jump on Kenya's team, but I'm really trying to make sense out of this, right? Like, who comes out and knows nothing about? You're basically shaming your grandfather's legacy. Like, I think this is something that we've learned in seventh grade, eighth grade, like even when we were in middle school, going into high school, like it definitely was not a good look for Portia, and I think that that's why Kenya's like, hey, we're black women, right? This is we're we are it. We are the culture. Like, we are the voices of tomorrow. Like, how Portia is not her platform, how she's speaking out. Now, if someone was to review that, review when Portia made that comment, how would they look at Portia? Like, it's something that this is something that is common. It's common sense, right? Like, something, if you're going to put out a platform like this, or you're going to be out there being an activist, like, you should know your history. You should really definitely know your history, especially if your grandfather has laid a foundation. You should know your history, and that is important, especially coming from us African American women. It just doesn't. It doesn't just embarrass. It doesn't just look bad on Portia, or it also looks bad on us as well, right? It looks bad on us. So I think that that's possibly why Kenya has so much. She had that stance when it came to that situation.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good take. But just a few things that okay, so just kind of like a few questions as far as that. But should Portia continue to be suppressed because she didn't know? It seems like she legit just did not know. And why? Okay, so if we have like a castmate who just didn't know like what the Underground Railroad is, why just take it? This would have been a really good teaching moment. Like, you can start to, like, teach them, or educate them, like, well, the Underground Railroad was not an actual electric train. It was actually like a system to help free slaves. So why didn't nobody, why are we still suppressing Portia because of something that she said like years ago?
But I mean, when I honestly, and I'm just
I
going
mean,
to
we
be
get
honest.
it. I get that. I get that. I mean, I definitely get that. Yes, I mean, I was even surprised that she didn't know what under, like, when I was like, what? But I get it. Some people maybe she interpreted differently. But we learn about, Black history every February, Black History Month. We learn about even the Underground Road. They've been teaching it in the school system since like I don't know, elementary school. So I mean, I understand that I don't know, like what I'm not sure, like what went wrong. Maybe she interpreted it differently, or maybe I don't know because she went to a HBCU, so I'm really and she has a family that are civil rights activists. So I'm confused, but I don't think that. I think that okay, the same way Kenya has learned that it's just not right to be culturally appropriate um, Indian culture. I think, and we're going to forgive her as well. I think we should also forgive Portia because she just didn't know. It was the, she just didn't know, and I don't think we should continue to suppress her on that. Like she said that she wants to like she said on Watch What Happens Live with Andy 7 years ago. She wants to learn. She wants to educate herself. She is wanting to educate her. She's wanting to learn. I think that it's just get to a point we just like we shouldn't continue to suppress her. Yeah, and that's my take on that. I really don't think that we should continue to suppress her. We're looking past it. We've forgiven Kenya. Because she just didn't know, and just like Portia didn't know too. Like we just all need to just move on. It's not right to suppress someone for something they just didn't know.
I mean, I agree too. I feel like we definitely should move on. I mean, I definitely Portia's definitely making up for it now. It seems like I honestly have to say I've seen Portia grow since since she's been on the show. So I think it's definitely something that Kenya should kind of lay off of. But again, it's Kenya, right? It's Kenya, and this is for me. And then also just like Portia made a mistake on when she called her, is it Miss? She called her Miss America, Miss USA, and I think I don't know how to say. I think that Kenya possibly may view Portia as someone who's not intelligent, lacks intelligence. So, and I see it that she doesn't respect her. So I think that that definitely is how I look at that. How I see her reflection of Portia. She lacks intelligence or common knowledge, I would say. So I think that that's just that. If we're gonna keep talking, it's gonna be that depth. We're really not going to get far with that. When it comes to Kenya and Portia, I think that Kenya has her stance on Portia. Portia has a stance on Kenya. It is what it is. Again, it could be. I see that again. Portia is doing phenomenal things when it comes to the community. So hopefully Kenya will definitely change her mind. I mean, when it comes to Portia, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that it's the most important thing is always like what did you learn from the situation? How or it's not about like what happened, it's all about how you're moving on from it and what you're doing about it. So that's how I kind of see it. And I think it's kind of toxic to continue to hold someone against something, like continue to remind someone, or bring things up that happened 7 years. I feel like that's very toxic. Um, and it's like it's almost kind of like you don't want to see growth. You kind of want to not belittle anyone, but you want to keep someone suppressed, and that's a lot of that's things that we see a lot of like white people doing all the time, like when it comes to people of color. Like okay, like we see that it's kind of like a way of keeping someone suppressed. You don't want to see the growth of people. You want to keep someone suppressed all the time. You don't see the growth. You always say, okay, well, this is what they did. This is what, and I just feel like it's kind of toxic, and that's kind of how I see it. I just feel like they both just needs to move. They need to move on from this whole, whether it's Underground Railroad or just Portia is growing her own way. Kenya, is she growth is there. They both just need to grow and just move past it, because I just feel like it's just toxic at this point.
Yeah, I definitely can agree with that. It's definitely getting to a point now. Again, as I mentioned, Portia is definitely coming back from that. As we can see the stuff that she's doing now, Portia is definitely growing. So I think that Kenya should give her give her some room, and definitely join, like feel the joy, like join in her movement to to bettering herself, and so I agree. I agree.
Um, okay, so Andy, of course, there's a lot of fluff in the reunion, but another speaking point that we have is so Latoya was like the last person to come out, and of course, Latoya is doing the absolute most. She said that Drew's husband's barber came to her room and offered her a vitamin C, kind of like a sick pack, vitamin C sick pack, because she was feeling a little bit under the weather and she just was not appreciative of that. And Drew said, she didn't know, she was not aware that like what happened, and she apologized to Latoya. And Latoya, of course, she didn't accept Drew's apology. She felt like, Drew probably didn't. Maybe Drew didn't know, maybe she didn't know, but she apologized. And I just feel like Latoya just wanted to have a moment. Because I mean, what else could she have said? So yeah, what else could have Latoya said, as far as like, Drew has apologized. I mean, what else? And she goes on talking about Drew's fashion, how she should be credited for that, for Drew up in her game when it comes to the fashion department. Just like, yeah, okay, okay, Latoya. I just feel like Latoya just wants to just kind of have a moment. She wants that peach, so she's gonna do anything possible to get that peach. So,
Yeah, I agree. I think that majority of the moments I've seen Latoya, she's just been at it. Especially when the first time the ladies met, she went straight at it when it came to, was it Drew's? Was it she made? Yeah, she went straight at it. She didn't really get a chance to really feel the vibe of the ladies, or even with Latoya. So, and it's interesting how things actually ended in the last episode with Drew and Latoya. Like, um, I don't know how they can reconcile with this. I don't know if they're ever going to come admit, like, make amends. And I feel like what they were arguing about was, I don't know if I would say so much wasn't that important, or something that could result to them, you know, having that particular situation that happened in the last episode. I mean, but what do you think about the last episode when Drew brought in Prophet Lot, like, to basically stating that basically she Prophet Lot told the truth, like there was some truth to what Latoya was saying. So it's like Drew also does irrelevant things as well. They're both going at it, and it wasn't much to go by. So it's just a lot of nothings when it comes to that particular relationship.
okay, so this is how I feel. Both of whatever they're doing is both irrelevant. And I also made a video on this about the last episode of um Real Housewives, and like my thoughts are probably in the minority, actually, because I feel that, of course, what Drew, bring it, it's kind of like using the Lord's name in vain was absolutely so uncalled for. It was so unnecessary. But come on, God, it's like Latoya has been coming at Drew from the beginning. She even brought a wig for Drew during their Charleston trip. And why not Drew bring a wig for her during Cynthia's Christmas party? Like, why is everyone so upset? Like, you guys all need to be calming down, like, seriously, because Latoya was doing the same thing to Drew. And if when Drew did it to her, I mean, why is like Candy and all the other ladies upset while Latoya did the same thing? And I'm gonna talk about Candy in just a minute because she's also one of our speaking points. So I'm gonna get to her. But why is everyone so upset with Drew? I did not really like that she was, Latoya confided in her something very sensitive, something very touchy, and she used it in a way to, spread gossip with the ladies. I thought that was absolutely disgusting. I thought that was wrong because I mean, yes, it is a show, but I just didn't think it was right. Like, leave the Lord's name out of this. And when it comes to the prophet, if she is dating the prophet or not, it's none of Drew's business. Because I mean, Latoya has mentioned that at this point she's not really, she is. I mean, it's just none of Drew's business at this point because you cannot really tell another woman what she should do. But when it comes to the wig situation, listen, I was not upset with you about that. Like, everybody just needs to calm down because Latoya did it to Drew first. She wanted a problem with Drew. She wanted an issue with Drew from the beginning. And when Drew gave her a wig, the wig that she was talking about, then why is everyone so upset? Like, why is everyone so upset? Like, everyone should calm down. Yeah, that's my take on that. As But yeah, you can listen to my full opinions on the season finale. It's on our channel, so you can listen to that. But I really just feel like this whole Drew and Latoya kind of thing that's going on, I do feel like it just stems, I see it in a way that it stems from Latoya just being upset that Drew got the peach and she didn't get the peach. And she's really trying so hard to get a peach. Um, so Lucy, do you have anything to add on that, or should we just move on to our next speaking point?
I'm trying to think. You did that. I like the fact that you did bring about that when Drew was using a sensitive information that Latoya shared with her, and it was sort of. I remember I mentioned he was sort of bullying. It was, to me, it seemed like it was a bullying tactic for her to keep asking her why she wasn't drinking, and to me, it just seems that I looked at Drew in a different way, as someone who, if you share information with her or if you confide in her about something, she will use that against you when you're most vulnerable. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I remember the reviews, like you mentioned, that we did. We mentioned that it was like a kind of like a bully tactic. So we can definitely move to the, because again we just have a few more things to discuss. We can definitely move on to our next topic.
Okay, so the okay, so the next speaking topic we have is um okay, we talked about Latoya. She's absolutely doing the most. So in other news, does Candy really like Drew? Does she really like Drew from this season? And why is she so upset, like, with Drew? Like, Candy, just be calming down. Like, why is he? I do not think Candy likes you at all. Like, you can just tell she just does not like. There's just something. Maybe it's just because she known Latoya. I just really just don't think Candy likes Drew, and it's just like anything that Drew was saying, it's just like Candy was just like, sticking her nose up, and she just was not. I'm just like, Candy, like the same thing Drew is doing, either Latoya, everybody in that cast is doing, it has done. But why are you so upset with Drew? Like, why? Why is Candy so upset with Drew? I don't know why Candy is so upset with Drew, but it just doesn't sit well with me. I think Candy has maybe something else went down or was going on back that we didn't see or where we were not previewed to. But I don't understand why she is so upset with you. But I really feel like Candy just doesn't like Drew at all. At all. Lucy, do you have anything to add to this?
Andy and Drew.
Yeah,
Yeah, do you think that?
do you
Do
think
you think
Candy
Candy
likes
likes
Drew?
Drew? Well, the last episode, Candy was not happy based on what Drew did. I think that Candy had it. I think that Candy was just done with a little bit of Drew's tactics. That's how I don't know if she. I want to say she doesn't like her, but I think that she may be very prudent when it comes to things that Drew does.
And yeah, and who cares if what Candy likes and doesn't like? Yeah, I'm sure Candy has some kind of. I'm sure she's probably like like one of the. She probably helps with the casting and stuff, but at the end of the day, Candy, it's time to for them to shake things up a little bit because Candy has been playing the middleman for almost a few seasons since Phaedra left, you know. So I think she's kind of like Candy. They look at Candy as like the person who should look at who's right and who's wrong. And I think it's about time when Bravo shake things up when it comes concerns Candy because it's like she's like the person who judges other people's storylines to see if it's BS or if it's not. And I don't think that's right. So Bravo, I think it's time for you guys to shake things up. Make people, make some of the a lot of these housewives are getting a little too relaxed. You know, start making people feel a little bit, a lot of these housewives not be too relaxed. So yeah. Okay, so so earlier this week we got the whole Fallon divorce. Simon, I think he released a statement. Both Simon and Fallon released a statement. And what are your thoughts about that, Lucy? Were you hopeful for Fallon? Like, I know I was one of those people that were rooting for Fallon to be like a permanent house. I was like, yes, Fallon has like when we think of like a housewife, we think of like they're rich, they're especially like the original housewives. Like when we think of Deshaun Snow, Lisa Wu, Nene Leakes, they were like wealthy. They had a lot of money. And I thought Fallon kind of fit the picture of like what we know to be like a housewives, especially on the show, like original. Yeah. So what are your thoughts about that?
When you say like the original Housewives,
Yeah, like I was saying, like Fallon, Simon released a that I was one of the people that was really rooting for Fallon on the show because I felt like she kind of had lived a life of like what we think about of like a housewife, when we think of the Nene Leakes, the Deshaun Snow, the Kim Zodiac, like how the ladies. In the beginning, they were just rich. They just had a lot of money. They were not even rich, but they were wealthy. Um, so I thought that maybe Fallon fit kind of like the narrative of when we think of like a housewife, a real housewives character in
in
Atlanta.
a way. That's, I mean, that's a good point. I honestly, I don't understand. And I have, because again, some of these housewives, it's definitely, the show definitely it has definitely changed again since the originals. Like the money makers, we had Kim, we had Nene Leakes, we had Lisa Wu, and even compared to the other franchise, you see they're definitely holding that. They're holding that platform that we used to know, that we used to have as the Real Housewives. They're they're living that lavish life. They have the husband and kids, they're running businesses and, all that good stuff. But now when I look at this franchise, it's just different. It's like anyone is coming into the show, and we don't really see much. Like, what happened to showing the women who own businesses, except Kandi, right? We usually get to see Kandi with her restaurant business, and then we get to meet the new is it friends of the show, and we didn't really get to see what Drew did, right? It was just much of, let's just dive into it, right? I feel like the show is definitely diving into a different direction, not necessarily what it used to be. And when it comes to Fallon, I think Fallon definitely had that. She had that ultra. Like, she definitely had what Bravo definitely needed on the show. I mean, she was married. She had kids. I believe she also is a businesswoman as well. So I'm just unsure why Bravo did not give her a peach. Because again, Real Housewives. This is what the Real Housewives is about, right? Is just people like Fallon. Um, so it's interesting that Bravo didn't really get to put give Fallon that chance.
I
I
think that
think that
when it comes to people who are already established, it really doesn't work well. The only person I feel like it worked well with was Kenya. Like, she was already an actress before coming on the show, so she already kind of was semi, like, she was established. But when it comes to already people who were already on in the spotlight, like we saw, um actually, okay, I take that back. It worked for Kenya and also worked for Candy. But when it comes to people in the spotlight, becoming housewives, it's kind of weird to kind of see that transition, because we've seen Drew on the game and also the TLC movie as well too. So she's already an established actress, and for her to become a housewife, it's a little strange. So the reason why I feel like it fit, and also having Latoya on there, because she's kind of already in the spotlight. The reason why I felt like it would have worked for Fallon, because she's not really in the spotlight, and she already has, like, she kind of lives life of a housewife, kind of, well, not live the house, because she's also a working woman as well too, but she kind of, like, the way her situation is, and we think of housewives, we think of just like rich, like, just wealthy money, and and I felt like Fallon would have been a good fit if they were to go back to their um original culture and what the show was all about, because now they're just getting reality television stars, and also, well, not reality television, but YouTubers and actresses to be a housewife. And I don't know, it doesn't seem that authentic to me. So, yeah.
to agree about that. I would definitely have to agree. It's definitely, I think they need to definitely bring it back. Andy and Bravo need to bring that back. And can you not? I feel like there's a difference. Like, remember I was telling you, there's a difference compared to the other franchise. Don't you think this one is sort of sliding off of its momentum? This friend.
Oh, yeah, I think that they just bring on, like, people who are already in the spotlight and stuff, and it just doesn't work well. The reason why it worked, like, this cast, why it was, because it was so organic. Like, no one really knew Nene Leakes, like, everyone knew her as Greg. Well, no one really, like, Nene wasn't really in the spotlight, but Nene was she was a wealthy housewife. I mean, we knew Kandi was able to work with Kandi, because Kandi had a way of, like, integrating. I mean, they gave Kandi a really tough time, especially that Kim Zolciak. They gave Kandi a really tough time when she first came But she was able to integrate herself into with the group. It worked for Phaedra because no one really, I mean, who did it? I know I didn't know of Phaedra um, when before she joined Real Housewives. It worked for Sheree. No one really knew Sheree, and even Kim Zolciak. Like the ladies were in the spotlight, and I don't know, maybe because social media wasn't a big thing back then, but yeah. And I think that the reason also it works for the other ladies is like the other franchises because a lot of the ladies that are on the show is they didn't like no one really they weren't they like it's like kind of like no one really knew them, you know, like they weren't actors or in a spotlight before, you know, especially like with Potomac, like no one knew like Giselle, Robin,
Robin
and
and
Candace,
Candy.
like anyone
Anyone
knew them
them?
before it's until they joined the franchise and Karen. So that's why the those other franchise seem more authentic. Because none of the ladies were actors or sorry, were
Sorry, what?
actors
Yeah,
before.
and I feel like that should be like that's how it should be. I feel like now it's just getting it's like we're bringing in people we know, or we're trying to kick people out and then bringing people that we know. Like it's just the show is. I think that Bravo, Andy needs to take this, bring this back to what it was. So
Absolutely. And I think we're definitely going to talk a little bit more about this. We're definitely going to talk a little bit more about this after the we'll probably have another live discussing what is happening in Atlanta, why just this group, like what's going, why is Atlanta going downhill? We're gonna go into depth a little bit more about this in another live, but we just wanted to come on here just do a quick review on the reunion, and we brought up our three a couple of our thinking points, that things that we thought that were really important. But we want to say thank you guys so much for those who have tuned in. We really appreciate it. If you're watching or rewatching this playback, make sure you like the video and also subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out, especially with our algorithm. Also reach our goal as well too. So please just continue to like and support our channel and our growth on YouTube. Lucy, do you have anything to add?
yeah, like Sin said, thank you so much again. We really, and I just want to say a special thank you to all of our supporters, those who join us in this live and really stick this out with us, and then continue to like and watch. We really do appreciate it. Your support is definitely noticed. And again, for those of you who haven't been familiar with us, please do check out all of our other videos out as well of our reviews. We have other reviews, plenty more reviews, and we have more to come. So thank you so much. We really greatly appreciate everyone who continues to show us support. So we would definitely end it here. Thank you guys. Go ahead and enjoy your Monday. Do something fun, do something good, be great, live life, and reach your goals.
Yeah, and just kind of some last minute last questions, or just kind of something just to think about, especially coming into part two of the reunion. What did you guys think about this reunion? Um, do you guys think there just needs to be a cast shakeup, especially concerning Candy? I feel like something just there needs to be a cast shakeup. And also, what were some big moments that stood out to you from this from Sunday's episode? And did you agree with some of like what we were saying? And did you not agree? Let us know why. And let's have a conversation. All right,
All
thank you
right,
guys.
thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much. We're gonna end this live. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Peace, love, and blessings.